calm. But, you know, we got a chance to see kind of behind the scenes for both Nathan and Karl yesterday. Karl really relaxed, kind of a just happy to be here, we'll see what happens type player. But Nathan Steuer, on the other hand, looks very calm. But when he lost that last round, we saw him break down in tears. He was feeling immense pressure on those last rounds. And a huge breakthrough, to be fair, to get through the top 4. You know, that puts him qualified for everything for the next year. And there's got to be some amount of relief with that part. But boy, you don't give many chance at a World Championship trophy. And he's going to want to try to capitalize on it here. Players are taking a look at their opening hands. It looks like Karl's going to go down to 6 here, Paul. Yeah,
Nathan with a fantastic hand here. Karl, again, with kind of the little innovation that his team came up with, Siphon Insight main deck instead of playing the powerful 4-drop in Shieldred.
Crazy.
Which does make his deck slightly less aggressive, right? But if you're playing a matchup, especially against decks like Grixis, where the games go a little bit longer, perhaps something like a Siphon Insight is better because it has that innate 2-for-1 built into it.
Here's Rafine Scheming Seer, really kind of the centerpiece of the deck for Karl Sarap. There's plenty of other powerful options, but Rafine is usually the card that's most responsible for the most broken draws. It's also the card that they tend to have built their curve around.
And Karl really wants to find another threat here, and that's perfect.
That's a bingo.
That is exactly the type of card that he wanted here. Continue to put pressure on Nathan. Now, it is important to note that on the other side, Nathan Steuer, with that Invoke Despair, has the ability to get this Wedding Announcement off the battlefield, can cast it as early as next turn if he does find a land off of Chapter 2, Fable the Mirrorbreaker, or just off the top here.
Wedding Announcement versus Fable of the Mirrorbreaker is another way to categorize how these decks play.
And both have proven their mettle, as we've already seen here. Going with a discard here on at least perhaps a Bloodtithe Harvester, guaranteeing a creature to be placed into the graveyard so that you can get value out of the Corpse Appraiser in his hand. Now this Invoke Despair, it's going to get a 1/1, it's going to get a Wedding Announcement, but will not be able to get that Rafine. But again, just a great spell that lines up super well against opposing Fable the Mirrorbreaker decks and also just anything with enchantments. And in this format, that's what it's all about, right? Like you said, there's Rafine, there's Fable, but there's also Wedding Announcement. Those are kind of the big 3 among the powerful 3-mana cards that you can play.
And that's why we see Nathan Steuer bend his entire mana base to accommodate 4 main deck copies of Invoke Despair. This is an Invoke Despair list in many ways. It's surrounded by very powerful Grixis cards that get you value, get you some board presence, and can win on their own. But if you get to start firing off Invokes, it's very difficult to come back from that.
One thing that Karl has, however, that Nathan already knows about because of the turn 1 duress is Ao the Dawn Sky, kind of the mid-range mirror breaker here. And currently, as it stands, Nathan doesn't have a good answer to the Ao. He's got sideboard options to exile it, but if he does find a way to kill Ao, still extra value here.
Here we go, Invoke Despair on the stack now for Nathan Steuer. And as you mentioned, Paul, it's going to kill a 1/1 and a Wedding Announcement, plus net Nathan a card out of the deal as well. That was that's as bad as it gets, you know. Right. It's like that was totally fine, but it did leave Rafine Scheming Seer on the battlefield to turn sideways here.
Yeah, Nathan still has a lot that he needs to fight through here, right? He has lots of ways to get cards. He's got the Bankbuster, but he's got a 2/5 Rafine and an Ao the Dawn Sky that he needs to deal with.
Definite pressure on Nathan Steuer here coming from Karl Sarap. Individual card quality out of the Esper deck is unparalleled. It is absolutely absurd, the power level of every card that they put onto the battlefield. I mean, just look at these 2 that are sitting there.
Everything just feels like it has a 2-for-1 built into it, right?
It does.
It's just, even if you use a removal spell, you're like, well, you're just going to get something out of the deal regardless of what I choose to do.
All right, Reflection of Kiki Jiki joins the team here for Nathan. That could provide some value going forward. This turn it's not going to do a whole lot.
Yeah, and I'm not sure Shieldred is the answer here, so might look to go Corpse Appraiser to find an answer potentially to a Rafine or an Ao. And then you get to set up the nice combination of Corpse Appraiser plus Reflection of Kiki Jiki. If Karl Sarap doesn't find an answer to the Reflection, that is something that will run away with the game. You just get buried in card advantage. Oh.
It's going to be Shieldred,
Okay.
the Apocalypse on the battlefield here for Nathan Steuer. He's going with his most powerful option. He could even send in the Bankbuster here if he'd like. He's going to.
All right, beating down here.
Just two card advantage machines clashing into each other if there's a block here from Karl.
All right, and now is Karl going to go for the block for some value here? No, taking it.
That signifies that he thinks he can win in the air before Nathan Steuer can mitigate these threats. He does have a 2-turn clock, assuming that Rafine can hit anything.
Yeah, but
on either try.
Bit of a racing situation here, and Shieldred is very, very effective against Rafine, right? If you have a Rafine in play and a Shieldred on the other side, you don't really want to attack, right?
That's right.
You attack with the several creatures connive. You're already down to 10. Karl recognizing that and casting this Siphon Insight to try to find a way to kill Shieldred.
Can he find it? Oh, no, removal spell 2 lands. Boy, would have liked to leave those on top of the library for Steuer as well, so no fun there. Now he does get to cycle away a Shattered Sanctum here. There's an Iganjo, not quite enough either.
Yeah, this is painful, but Karl does need to find an answer to Shieldred.
Even though it's going to cost him some life.
And Karl does have 2 legends in play, so Iganjo only costs 1 mana here to deal 4 damage to any attacker. Kind of an interesting decision here for Karl. If I think part of it, he kind of wants to play Dennick and also channel Iganjo, but there's no way he can actually do that because
mana.
there's a Haunted Ridge that's exiled. But that doesn't. You need exactly blue, white mana to be able to cast Dennick and also channel the Iganjo. Could be interested in just playing it anyways, just to have a blocker, just because it looks like Nathan wants to race here.
Yeah, a 2-powered lifelinker can be a little swing back in your direction. There's Shieldred buffering the life total of Nathan Steuer. If that thing gets to stick on the battlefield for another turn or two, Nathan will win quite easily. Karl's got some work to do here.
And playing the Dennick would have actually prevented Corpse Appraiser.
Yes, it would.
Corpse Appraiser's ability, but Nathan did draw an Abrade off the top.
Corpse Appraiser is going to gobble up the Dennick that was already in the graveyard. Did I see a Shieldred number 2? Ooh, Infernal Grasp too?
Infernal Grasp, and Nathan also has the ability to copy that Corpse Appraiser. So you can kill a creature, make a Corpse Appraiser, exile that creature, and then get additional value here with that Reflection plus Corpse Appraiser combo.
Nathan Steuer keeping it simple, casting just his best stuff every turn, and that's actually working out for him quite nicely.
And Nathan, kind of like, he's been showing some more aggression with that Reckoner Bankbuster. Oftentimes people just go, hey, look, I'm going to just keep spending my mana, tap it, draw some cards, but Nathan just realizing, it's like, look, I need to be aggressive here. I need to get your life total low. I've got that active Shieldred to play, which you clearly don't have an answer to right now.
This could be a very big attack here from Steuer. He looks like he's lining up everything potentially.
Now let's see, if he kills Rafine, because you know there's not going to be anything left over, and goes for an attack with everything, what happens?
He gets in for 8 and it's lethal.
He does. However, Karl does have an Iganjo Castle open to kill the Reckoner Bankbuster here.
So Nathan's going to take a more conservative route, fire in with the Bankbuster. Also the Goblin Shaman's getting in.
Yeah,
that could combo with an Abrade to finish off one of these blockers.
Yeah, if Nathan thinks Karl is going to line up the AO on the Reckoner Bankbuster and then put Rafine on the 2/2, all of a sudden, if that happens, you get to finish off the Rafine with the Abrade and keep Infernal Grasp in hand in case Karl finds something like a Shieldred.
Karl doesn't really have the option to take the 6 here facing down Shieldred. Sometimes you'll see players, you know, use their life total as a resource, maybe even cut it really close, but Shieldred tends to make that not possible.
Yeah, I imagine Karl just will want to use that Iganjo Castle here, right? He left it up, didn't play the Dennick, use the Iganjo Castle on the Bankbuster, and then go for a block with probably the AO, right? If Nathan goes ahead and goes, okay, I'm going to abrade your AO. I got to eat your 2-2. You abraded my 5-4, and I can still get value here.
Absolutely. Nope, he's actually going to block with Rafine. Steuer thinking about what the implications of this could be.
So can still abrade to finish off Rafine, would have to use the treasure to copy Corpse Appraiser. Probably going to see that here.
There it is. Abrade, pay for the ward. And that's going to send Rafine packing.
All right, Karl really, really needs to find an answer here to this Shieldred.
Make Disappear. You'd think a card named Make Disappear would be an answer for Shieldred, but it is not. He gets a crash for 5 here. Down to 7 falls Steuer. And the best that Karl Sarap can do is just play Denik.
And one interesting thing that could happen here is if Nathan goes for perhaps a removal spell on the Denik, Karl could maybe go for a Make Disappear, sacrificing the AO to find something.
Oh, okay.
Right? That is something that could be on the table here. But right now, I mean, it looks like Nathan just has a lethal attack lined up here. End of turn, copy Corpse Appraiser. On your turn, you could even make another one if you wanted, and you can attack him for 13.
Yeah, it looks like he's doing this second main.
Oh, in response to the Denik, of course, of course.
So it does force that
still
issue.
Forced to do it because you still want to get that value, and it looks like there are enough creatures in the yard to still do it next turn after you decide to go ahead and kill the Denik.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting spot because you could just make a Corpse Appraiser as a 3/3, have it on your turn, and then make another one if you think you can get lethal through.
And now with Bloodtithe Harvester, you can just play Bloodtithe Harvester and use that as a way to get creatures off the battlefield, right? You go Bloodtithe Harvester, copy Bloodtithe Harvester, all of a sudden you have 2 blood tokens and a Harvester with haste, which allows you to kill either Denik or the AO.
Things looking really good for Nathan's story here in game number 1. He's going to cast Infernal Grasp first. AO the Donsky is going to trigger.
Okay.
And we're going to need to see some real fireworks here from Karl Sarap, or he's going to be dead. He finds Wedding Announcement or yet another Denik.
That's not going to get it done here. So Denik is a legend, right? So don't really want to get that. You get a Wedding Announcement, but that doesn't put any blockers in the way. So Nathan can simply play a Bloodtithe Harvester, give it haste, excuse me, make a copy, give it haste, kill the Denik, and that's going to be a lethal attack for 7.
Yeah, now the Make Disappear doesn't do much. Or did I speak too soon?
I think
could tap him out, actually.
Karl can still just cast it to force the tap out, but again, with the Shieldred in play, there's nothing Karl can do there. So
that's right. He's going to take enough damage on his turn, and then his draw step will kill him. Nathan Steuer picks up game number 1 over Karl Sarap. Karl is having a disastrous top 4 so far. He has yet to win a game, looking to get on the board, and if he can't here, he'll be out.
Yeah, he will be, and I mean, incredible run here so far, right?
Yeah.
A lot more Magic to still be played, but just a nice collection of players just in the top 4, right? You have these players that we haven't seen a whole lot of, right? They kind of came out of nowhere. Maybe not so much Nathan, right? Kind of a Magic Online champ. If you kind of play that, then you know he's kind of the end game boss. But with Karl, you know, just kind of sneaking in there with a top 6 finish at the New Competitive Championship and then making it all the way here to the top 4.
Yeah, it's important to remember, you know, for these players, just getting this accomplishment of the top 4 was massive. They slept very well last night, I will say, you know, because you can kind of look at today as a free roll, right? I mean, look, the best players will dial in and realize, hey, this is an opportunity I may not get again, but you can't help but feel some relief if you're a pro Magic player of saying, I qualified for everything, right? Like I've got the next year of tournaments all lined up. I know what I'm doing.
And that's the most important thing, Marshall. It's if you want to be somebody who plays kind of on the Pro Tour and play every Pro Tour, right? This is your first opportunity to qualify for every single event. And the only way to do that was to make top 4 of this event, right? And that's why you saw how much this meant to Nathan when he thought he got eliminated. Because it's like, if you win, not only can you be the world champion, not only can you have your face on a Magic card, you get to play for the next year, every single Pro Tour and the World Championship.
All right, game number 2 underway here. Nathan Steuer versus Karl Sarap. And this could be it for Karl in our lower semifinals. If he can't find a way to pick up 2 games in a row off Nathan, he's out. Nathan just needs to win one of the next 2 to advance.
Great curve here for Nathan. Turn 2 Blood Tithe into turn 3 Fable of the Mirror Breaker. The ideal start here. Karl wanted the 2 drop, but some powerful options of his own.
Where you been, Danik, a little late to the
Yeah,
party
a little
there.
bit delayed there.
And I think Danik's going to have to get passed over here for wedding announcement or Rafine.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of players opt to go for wedding announcement when given this, when having this decision point here. You want to kind of get that wedding announcement flipped as quickly as possible.
Yeah, wedding announcement pays you for playing it as early as possible. And that's what's going to happen here for Karl Sarap. He's going to pass the turn back facing down just Blood Tithe Harvester, which is going to get in for a nice little chunk here, 3 damage. Down to 17 goes Sarap.
And Karl does not have an answer to this 2/2 token. And I mean, this is just the power of Fable. It's just, if you can't deal with it immediately, I mean, this card just kind of does everything for you.
It really
It's
does.
just the perfect mid-range card, right? It ramps you, it filters you, and then it also just gives you late game inevitability with that reflection.
A lot of people think that Fable's the best card in Standard. That's why it's kind of interesting that we've got all of these Esper decks. You know, that's the card that they really give up.
Yeah.
You know, by playing Rafine and these really mana-intensive creatures.
Yeah, I think, and I do think that is true. Fable of the Mirror Breaker is the most powerful card in Standard. However, when you look at the Esper option, you then start looking at the other cards, right? Because you go, well, Rafine might not be as good as Fable, but I get Rafine, I get Wedding Announcement, and I get Wandering Emperor, right? And that's kind of the decision that you have to make.
It is hard to argue with this Esper list. There's a reason there's a bunch of them in here. We did play 3 formats over the course of the weekend to find ourselves in this position, but this tournament will be decided at Standard. Karl pretty incentivized to ditch a spell here, as he would like to not just have to throw away his 1/1. And a redundant copy of Rafine seems as good as anything.
And Danik is, just casting it is surprisingly effective in this deck, just because it does get to shut down Corpse Appraiser as a way for Nathan to get value. It forces Nathan to have a removal spell for the Danik first before casting Corpse Appraiser. Nice draw here from Nathan. Cut down as just a really cheap, efficient way to get Rafine off the battlefield. Given that Wedding Announcement will flip next turn, very incentivized to use that cut down this turn. And also, we see other great removal effects, but Nathan really holding on to that Rona's Vortex, very acknowledging the fact that AO is extremely, extremely important to have an answer to in this matchup.
This is why cut down is here. It allows you to pay just 2 mana to kill Rafine, and that's as cheap as you're going to get in Standard.
And lots of options here for Nathan. Going to get another treasure token here.
Wow, I just saw a little head shake there from Karl Sarap. He does not like how this is going. It has been a very difficult day for him thus far. And another one he just can't seem to get on board.
And with Nathan ahead on board, I wonder if he wants to just continue playing threats or keep up that Make Disappear for potential Shieldred, potential AO from Karl.
Yeah, I mean, if Karl feels that his only good play is to play AO the Dawn Sky next turn and he gets Make Disappeared, oof, yikes.
Yeah.
That is a rough one to take.
Now, if Karl draws any 3-drop here or anything else, he will likely play around this Make Disappear and go for Danik plus whatever he draws.
Yeah, you mentioned Danik doing work on its own. Also, you know, Wedding Announcement is going to transform, so a 3/4 lifelinker, that is a nice way to get some life back and play around some stuff. Curious to see what Karl does here. It is tempting to just throw AO out there.
And with this board set, I think
he
Karl
could just go for it, right?
I think Karl might just be interested in drawing a card, right? Just finding some extra answers. Reflection of Kiki Jiki can threaten to run away with the game. Need to find an answer here. So if you want to do that, you can attack with both creatures and then just go for AO. I mean, I suppose the other line is to go for a Denic and then keep up Otawara, right? Play the Plaza of Heroes. If you think that there's a really great shot that Nathan has a removal spell. But yeah, no, Karl just going for it here.
Yeah,
Nathan is very happy. You see that smile. Maybe he's not happy. I actually couldn't tell. That could have been a damn.
But he has the answer. He has his Vortex, and this is why he was able to leave the shields down on Make Disappear that turn. Ooh, Duress does not have a target right now.
Will miss. Now, you're going to see the Rona's Vortex here. Nathan will have access to potentially 2 mana here, but gets in a nice attack. Karl's going to go down to 7 this turn.
Life total's falling very quickly, and all Karl can do is nod his head. He's just faced every answer he didn't want to see. And he shakes his head in resignation here. This one could be his tournament falling apart. If he can't find a miracle comeback against Nathan, he's done.
Get in there, Bankbuster. This is an attack for 6.
So even worse.
Then perhaps the other Blood Tithe Harvester here for Nathan? No.
He's going to keep up Make Disappear, it looks like. Siphon Insight was the draw step here for Karl Sarap. Yeah, you know, this is one of those situations where Make Disappear is really strong. Even just taxing the mana of Karl can be really powerful, but he even can sacrifice a creature to really nab something here.
Yeah, and this is now a rough situation because you get that 1-2 punch of Blood Tithe Harvester plus Reflection of Kiki Jiki. It's just build your own removal engine at this point, right?
That's right.
And then Karl's only way to kind of interact and break that up is Otawara. You play the land, you can channel, but that's just a temporary solution.
Yeah, this is going to be very, very difficult now. That combo allows Nathan Steuer to just mow down anything he wants. I don't see how Karl can keep up.
Well, so the Wandering Emperor was a nice draw. If Nathan decides to maybe go for something like a main phase Reflection, then you can respond with the Wandering Emperor. But remember, take a look at the rest of Nathan's hand, right? Karl cannot play the Wandering Emperor this turn. Next turn, if Nathan doesn't have any other options, I mean, he's just going to run out that Duress, right? Last turn, he had to go for the Vortex to get the AO, but next turn, doesn't have anything. So he's just going to go Duress, get the Wandering Emperor, keep up Make Disappear, and again, Karl's still down to 6 life here.
I mean, it's working out beautifully for Nathan. You know, if he had an extra mana, he may have just put Duress on the stack. It would have bricked.
Right.
You know, and then maybe we see Wandering Emperor at some point. But because of his mana constraints, he chose to keep Make Disappear mana available. And that means that Duress is still in hand for him.
And this time around, might be able to chalk one up for Fable this time around over Rafine. So certainly discarding at least the Cave of Koilos. I wonder if Karl's thinking about a potential race situation. Do I want to just discard a Siphon Insight to just put an additional counter on this token? Or do I just want to pitch my 2 lands?
He's got to be careful here. He's on no timeouts. That rope is getting a little bit oppressive. Yeah, and he's taking some time with this decision.
It is tough. I mean, this is probably one of the most important decisions here, right? Karl is playing for his tournament.
That's right. Down to 7 goes Nathan Steuer.
And this Duress is going to be so important. It just makes things so much easier for Nathan. Allows him to play around anything that Karl can muster up here.
And here it is. Duress goes on the stack first, and Karl's not going to like what he sees here. Oh, and you saw him shut his eyes there. Just devastation here for Karl Sarap as he's watching his whole tournament fall apart. He knew that there was maybe a tiny window there with Wandering Emperor if he can sneak it in, but the Duress makes that impossible.
Yeah, and now Nathan knows about the Aurora, right? So he's going to be a little more careful in terms of what he chooses to do here with the Reflection of Kiki Jiki. But now that you know the coast is clear, you can take the Wandering Emperor, you can play a Blood Tithe Harvester, you can crew up the Bankbuster. Is that enough?
Look at Karl Sarap. He knows this thing is just about in the books. That's a resignated look on his face. Just nothing going right for him today. Fantastic run to make it into the top 4, but I'm getting vibes from him that he thinks this is over, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, even if he somehow finds a way to survive this turn, I mean, if he does, Nathan needs to be careful, right? Nathan needs to be careful that somehow Karl can't win on the tack back. So this is also a big turn for Nathan.
Right.
There's lots of different options.
Totals.
Remember, Odawara normally costs 4 mana to channel. However, there is a legend in play on Karl's side. So Odawara says 3 mana, bounce something, right? So whatever Nathan likely will choose to copy with Reflection, Karl has the answer to bounce that creature.
Such critical information from Nathan, not just taking away, as it turns out, Siphon Insight. He's going to let him keep Wandering Emperor, probably because of that Make Disappear that he has.
Yeah, and I wonder, because of the existence of the Odawara, maybe Nathan just doesn't even go for the Reflection. What happens? Let's see, you play the Bloodtide Harvester, you crew the Bankbuster. What if you attack with everything? If you attack with everything, the Bankbuster and the 3/2 get blocked, only take 4 damage.
Not enough.
Not enough.
And as you mentioned, life totals are low. Nathan Steuer's at 7. Karl Sarap is at 6. That's the one thing. Uh-oh, that's a good game there from Karl Sarap. Ooh, he's playing with our feelings here, though. But he sees the win, and there we go. Nathan Steuer is going to advance, eliminating Karl Sarap. Big applause from everybody watching here live from Las Vegas. A great run for Karl Sarap. He has a lot to be proud of.